go live. So I broadcast on both TikTok and YouTube, and TikTok was having issues starting up, but here we are now. And that will give you okay. All right, I gotta share it out, so I'm just letting the top know. Oh, sorry, I'm just sending out the share. I'm sharing is caring. So right now I'm sharing. I think this will be the last set of them to share to. Yeah. Say hello. I was a little bit 6 minutes late, in fact, and there was a couple of reasons. It just was one of those chain events that happened. And so first off, I was making my structured water, and I do a very specific, hi, Rejoice, how are you? How are you doing? I'm dipping my tea bags right now. I just made a, so I was a few minutes late. I wanted to start at 3:30, but I was making water for myself so that I had some fresh water for the live. And as I make structured water, which just means that I add salt, lemon, a lime. I put a quarter of a lemon and a quarter of a lime and a bit of salt, sea salt. And then I stir it and I speak into my water, so I structure it. And when I went to squeeze the lemon, it shot right in my face. And so I had to go clean my glasses. Luckily enough, the glasses blocked most of it, but my one eye just feels a little like maybe some got through a little bit of it. So anyway, I had to deal with that. And then when I went to have a sip of my tea, I was like, oh my God, that's like pretty much cold. So I decided to brew the kettle and get it hot. Hi, love. I missed you today. I saw that someone had shared that you were live. And by the time I went and saw the message that they sent me, which I didn't realize was that, you were no longer live. I was pushing on it too, but it kept sending me to your profile. I was like, dang it. I was trying to support her. Go in and see her for once. So yes. How's everybody doing? How is your Tuesday? I almost went to say Thursday, but how is your Tuesday going? Tuesday. Say it really funny. And I'd appreciate if whoever's watching, if you tap on the screen, because that's how the algorithm works on TikTok. So that would be really awesome. How are you, Joe? Hi, Danny. I know greens. I know greens. It's funny, the other day I was looking for this particular deck of cards, and now I'm not looking for it, and I found it. And isn't that the way it goes? Hi, Kyle. So who's on there right now? Say hi. Say hi, whoever's watching. Okay, I'm not going to wait too long before I just start the topic that I'm going to be speaking about today. I know me. Set that there because I do plan on doing some stuff later. I wonder. Hello. Please like the live and add a comment. Everything helps, right? Everything helps. All right, so today I was going to talk about, let me pull up my show notes. Claiming your seat at the table of creation. I'm just going to wait for a minute, give it time for the regulars to show up. I'm broadcasting on 2 channels, so if you see me looking down here, it's TikTok, and if I'm looking up there, it's YouTube, or it's some notes that I have, because I have to keep myself on track, or I'm going to forget about everything that I'm teaching about. This is going to probably be really hot. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty warm. Pretty warm. Okay, so are you excited to learn about that? I'm pretty excited to teach it. I'm very excited to teach you about claiming your seat at the table of creation. I don't do this for, like, you know, I'm not the type of creator that's just putting out content to distract or to numb out or whatever, right? I'm not the person that's doing the funny little dances, or I'm going to teach you to loop in circles, or I want you dependent upon me. I want you to be sovereign. I want you to be empowered. I want you to be living your best life. I want you to be I want you to remember who and what you are and why you're here. That's my whole purpose, is to remind you of who you are and why you're here. What you are, who you are, and why you're here. And, you know, to remind you of the ways of how we're meant to live, how we're meant to embody who and what we are. So that's what my content is structured around. So today I wanted to talk about moving from passive spectatorship into conscious participation in your highest soul work. And I want to help you by igniting awareness that you are the active architecture of reality. You are creating what is in front of you. We all are. There is my reality and there is the shared collective reality. There is your reality and the shared collective reality. And they can be quite different. My personal reality, I love my own, to nature, I speak to Mother Gaia, I speak to the elements, I do breath work, I do toning, I meditate, I cook fairly holistically. I live a specific life, and because I live that specific life, I see a specific reality in front of me. And somebody else who is fully in the matrix, fully believes that the government is the savior, or that somebody's a savior, that, you know, go and work their job and come home and numb out through alcohol, beer, like alcohol, drugs, porn, TV, gossiping, whatever. Working is another thing that people use as a distraction, to keep them in that state of go, 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 to keep your nervous system at that state where you were as a child. So I want to help you to move beyond that space for sure. You're the architect. You create your reality. So this live is going to weave some inspiration in with tangible steps and connect the conversation to me and to you, and to connect us. I'm glad I made the fresh hot tea, but I can only drink so much of it. So have you ever felt like you were on the sidelines of your own life? Like the invitation to your destiny wasn't sent, that you didn't receive it in the mail. Maybe they got the wrong mailbox when they sent your invitation. Maybe they, you know, it got mailed to, you know, somebody else. It's just, it didn't happen the way that it should have. But today we're going to open that invitation, because that invitation did absolutely came to you. And we are walking into the banquet hall of creation. So let's open the letters and enter into our mission, into our truth, right? Let's stop living life from the sidelines. Okay. How are you doing? Talk for a moment. Talk with me for a moment. How are you doing? How are things going in your world? Oh, that's not good. What's going on? Oh, well, if you have to have surgery, you have to have surgery, right? Just believe that that is for your best and that everything is going to go very well, right? That's interesting. Yeah, it's too bad, like knowing it well in advance, right? Like you can look at, like, there's a lot that I could get into about the large intestine, or about your intestines in general, sorry. And in your colon, like, there's a lot that, like, when you look at the energetic reasons behind it, when you look at physical reasons behind it. And when I talk about physical, it can also be referring to like what you're eating, right? That's a physical thing that you're ingesting, and that can sometimes make you sick, unfortunately, right? Preservatives, sugar, all kinds of stuff like that. We do know, and I'm going to say the V scene, and that what that means, that right, that we were all under a lot of pressure to get. Even if you didn't get the right, even if you didn't get that, because people shed up to 14 days after receiving that, everybody's got the spike proteins, right? They still received those, unfortunately. So every one of us needs to do a cleanse, to cleanse the heavy metals, to cleanse everything from our system. Because no matter whether you got it or didn't, you were around people who did within 14 days of receiving it, that would have shed those into your environment through breathing, coughing, sneezing, rubbing up against you, sex, stuff like that, right? And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that were saying that they weren't when they were, right? And then going and doing things. What one study found with those is that it destroyed your gut biome. So you have trillions of bacteria in your body, and we live in a very symbiotic way. But there's a lot of bacteria in our body that is very, very useful and necessary. So when it destroyed our gut biome, what it did was opened us up to more illness, because it destroyed our immune system. Because a lot of what happens within our immune system happens within our stomach, within our intestines, really, in our digestive tract. And for anybody that is like listening and maybe questioning something, I'm a nurse of 20 years. When I retired from nursing, it was actually through the COVID experience, and I decided that was enough. There's too much that I felt was a lie within the sick care system, and the trying to have a revolution within the industry is not like it's. We have to rebuild. We have to build anew, because it's just the whole structure, the whole entire system is done. But when I was in nursing, I was the lead IPC, which is infection prevention and control, at the hospital. I had a lot of roles. I was a part of the senior management team, which was the executive director, the finance director, and the nursing director of nursing, and then the nursing coordinators, and HR. That was the team that made up, hi Tanzania, Tiffany. That was the team that made up senior management. And then they had a board that was external to the hospital that also had a say in the functioning of the hospital. So I had a pretty big role, and I understand very intimately about health. I understand very much about vaccines, about infections, about prevention and control. And I have continued to research. Like, the best thing that you can do is become informed. And I've always said, because this was something that we were taught in nursing school, we were taught to validate the authenticity of the study. So one of the things we were always taught to look for was who was writing the study, who was paying for the study, and were there conflicts of interest in those two things? Because if a pharmaceutical company is paying for a study on a vaccine, then you know, then you know that they want that to have a positive result. So they're paying for the result to be what they wanted. So you have to look at everything skeptically that is like that. You also have to look at what are the studies that are being denied being published. And if they're all the studies that are counteracting what the general consensus is about, right? So if you know that the theme at the time was pushing this, right, that everybody needed to get it. So there was a whole push on the top layer for everybody to go and get it, right? And not just one, but multiples. So there was a push for that. So if all the studies that were saying against that, or, you know, cautioning against doing or about the infection, right? If all of those ones were getting denied, but other ones were getting approved, like all the ones that were for it are getting approved, then you can look at, like, there's no way that something's 100% for. There's no way that it occurs that seamlessly, right? There's always going to be something that's going to come up that's going to give you a little bit of a, okay, maybe we should, you know, question this. But your own discernment's going to tell you what is true and what isn't true, right? Your body knows within itself what is absolutely true, right? And anything that's true doesn't have to use fear as a motivator, isn't trying to ultimately control systems or population or anything, right? It comes in and it feels peaceful, it feels safe, it feels grounded in your body. It's not going to make you feel scared. You're not going to be questioning it a million times. So I'm going to keep you up at night, right? It feels much different. So that's the discernment that you have to start to use, and with everything, right? The whole entire system of knowledge in society, what we call the matrix, was built on lies, was built on inversion, was built on distortion, was built on manipulation, was built on evil, was built on satanic stuff. Like, we're not supposed to live this way. So use your discernment to what is in alignment with the truth of how you're meant to live, and live that way. Okay, I'm going to have some more tea. Yep. Mm-hmm. Hi, Mark. How are you? Mark. What weird things have been on the news lately? Because I can definitely speak about things that have been on the news. Apparently, the Vatican is is being investigated for money laundering. I love that. Something's going on in Virginia since August 1st. 50 plus children have gone missing. 50 children in 12 days. Something's going on in Virginia. What else is going on in the news? Lots of stuff coming out about like geoengineering and cloud seeding. That stuff's coming out more and more. I'm talking about all these big things, and I shouldn't be. I mean, this is just stuff that's in the news, or that's coming up in the you know, no news is good news. It is. Hello, hello. So today we are talking about. We're talking about. What was I talking about? Claiming your seat at the tool of creation. And it has been for eons, guys. Not just this century, not just this life for you and me. Many lifetimes there has been distortion. Religion is built on distortion for the purpose of control, right? It minimizes you. The whole Big Bang Theory is another thing. If we can make you think that you are nothing and that your existence means nothing and that there's no next lifetime or this, that, and the other thing, right? If we can take those things away from you, then you start to devalue yourself, because what difference does it make? There's only one lifetime that you have. You're just a speck of dust with no meaning, no reason why. So I might as well watch porn and do drugs and, you know, like be an OnlyFan. Might as well make as much money as I can and live the grandest life that I can. Who cares? There's no afterlife. There's no next life. I'm nothing. I have no purpose. I have no meaning. I have no hope. That's what people think, right? So when we take and grab the truth, and we grab hold of the truth and realize that you are an eternal being, and it does matter what you do in this lifetime, and it will matter in the next lifetime, and it will matter in your afterlife. It will matter to you in your oversoul capacity. It will matter what you've done, right? And you set yourself with goals in this lifetime. And it was interesting because I had a comment on one of my posts before I came on tonight, and they were talking about the Antichrist, and you know that there's supposed to be this one being that is going to show up and be the Antichrist and pretend to be Yeshua. And it's like, no, we are living the Antichristic way right now. Yeshua came down to teach the Christic way, to teach you how to live as the divine being that you are, to remind you of who and what you are and how to live, right? That's what Jesus came down to do, to teach you that you were as he was and would do the things that he did and even greater. That's what you would do. Some of them are truths in the Bible, but there's a lot of distortions. Same thing with there's truths in the Torah and the Quran as well. There's truths in them, but they are not the whole truth. The stuff that was distorted for a reason, to disconnect you from your truth, to disconnect you from your power, to disconnect you from your remembering. Eons ago, somebody sold our dream time. They sold the astral realm. There we go. They sold the astral realm and our sleep time so that they could supplant things in our dreams. And if you're not careful, or you're not aware of this, you might be having dreams of something that you think is real, or that you think, this is, like a prophecy of some sort. And meanwhile, they've just supplanted that in you so that you're going to go and speak to that, right? And you can speak to that and build fear into the system. You can hook yourself into loops because you think, oh, I'm supposed to be doing this, and you go do it over and over and over again. Because what happens is, if you control the story, you control the people, you control the future. Right? If you control the stories of the past, you control the future. And that's why they do that. So they distort our stories to detach us from our truth so that they can control us in the future, or control us in the present even. Hi, warrior crystals. So it's up to us to remember. It's up to us to be wise to it. And they do. They've got tons of stuff like that. They're always saying that the powers that be, that they are like 10, 20, 30 years ahead of us. Like when we're talking about technology, right? Because that's back when we first started getting the internet, or, even well before that, they sold those things for technological advancements and other things, right? So, and not that these things were Christic. They weren't. They were given from a group of fallen, right? They were given to a bunch of people, given by a bunch of people who are not gods, but they are powerful. So they were able to convince those people that they were gods. And that's what they aim to be. But they can't be a god of this realm while there are people that remember that they are not. So they need to get it's the whole Coco movie. The last person needs to forget God, and then they can become God in this earth. Right? We're part of the great remembering, and they want to be the part of the great forgetting, and to paint a different idea of what our story is, what our truth is, who and what we are, and how we're meant to live. And in this world, it's a very satanic lifestyle, a very anti-Christic way. And that's not how we're meant to live. We get right into it here, right? Let's just talk about the truth. Let's open the whole doors up. Open the doors. Let the truth fly. All right, but today I wanted to talk about the fact that how to reclaim your seat at the table of creation. So much. Like, I am blessed, so blessed, because I have memories. I am so blessed because I can feel and I can see it in my mind, and I remember it, right? I remember it. And so I remember what the weather was like before it was manufactured, right? Yes. And that's the thing. It's all about solutions. And what is the number one thing that we can do? Stop participating in the life we don't want. Because everything you give your attention to, you're asking for more of. And I did that a little bit recently. I have not had the financial wins that I had hoped for. And in the process, I've had a lot of help from strangers. And once again, I'm in a position where I'm asking for help, or I'm asking for people to just buy stuff, right? I'm like, come on and work with me because it's worth it. It's really valuable, right? And I'm like, come on and work with me. And, but I'm also having to say, if you can spare something and can donate, please do. Or I'm asking people if I can get a loan for now, right? And I'm having to do those things. But I got into a bit of a, because I was tired of the other part, right? I'm like, I know I'm valuable. I know I'm worthy. I know the stuff that I am sharing is very, very, very powerful and worthy of people, participating with. It's worthy of people, taking part in. So, but I got into that, like, why am I still in this state of having to ask for help, having to do those things, right? And then I realized that I was focusing too much on the on the lack, and I don't want to do that. So I started to change things up, and I try to live a very Christic way, right? I try to live aligned with how I should live, right? And there are challenges that this environment that we're in, the matrix that we're in, present for us, because in a Christic way of living, with everybody living in that Christic way, and I mean this outside of religion, I mean this as a Christic being, as a light being, how we're meant to live. So how we are meant to live is not where we would be paying for rent, or paying for electricity, or paying for food, or paying for clothes, or paying, like, we wouldn't be paying for the necessities of life. We wouldn't be. But in the realm, or in the matrix that we're in, we still need money to have these transactions. So there's a lot of people that are like me, that are doing creator type things, which we're working, say, in an environment where we're, like me, a content provider who is also has a company attached to their content providing. I do a lot of education. I write books, and I have like 15 books published across Amazon, you can purchase them worldwide on Amazon, or you can purchase them directly from me for a great discount on my website. I also post, and I'm behind in my posting, but I also post some of the sessions that we've done before, or I put these really great packages together. Like I have a package on aligning your chakras, and it's a beautiful package with, guides, with journal, with meditations, with like, it's jam packed full of things. So that chakra alignment thing tool kit that I have to put it on the website, but it is, so I have stuff like that available. I do groups where I'm activating and awakening and remembering you of your truth. And these groups are really low fee to enter into. And then I've got work with me one-to-one, and they start anywhere from $33 all the way up to, if you want to do a full class with me, they can, it can end up being more. But everything I price reasonably. And the other thing I have is sacred reciprocity at my company, which means that you can apply for a scholarship on some of my larger items, or talk to me, and we can talk about a way that the energy can align for what I'm offering. So maybe you've got $200 of, something, and, say the thing's like $400, and you're like, I've got 200. Then I can say, you know what, give me a really good testimonial in video, give me a good testimonial in text, and I'm going to give you some stuff to share on your social media, just to expand my reach, and we'll call it square. That's the type of stuff I'm talking about. If you're in Ontario and you have a vehicle and you want to take my, my big class, like my 6-week class, and you could be like, I can give you this car, and, an exchange, and say there's some other money that has to come across the table. That's something that I mean. Like, this is what I'm talking about. And the only way we get to the new earth that we want is by creating the things that we need in the new earth. So if we need new education systems, we have to be creating them. If we think that we should be living in communities, we need to be creating communities. If we think that we should be eating healthy foods, farmers have to be out there going no to these, like, to these other things. Like, people have to be starting to create their, make their own foods. We have to stop buying the stuff and paying attention to the stuff that is not aligned with our truth of how we're meant to live, how we're meant to be here, like what life we want to see here, right? If you want to live the Christic, or not live in the sense of, if you want to change it and bring the new earth to form, it has to be brought through form. It's physical. Hello, Sneha. And I will definitely keep you in mind. Sorry, I was really rambling on there. I was just on a run. But I will definitely keep you in mind, for sure. How are you doing, sweetheart? We still have to get together for a little touch base. At least in messaging. Let me know how you're doing. Or let me know how you're doing here. Good. I'm doing much better. I went through a little mess space. Was just meh. I was focusing a little bit too much on all the stuff that's going on out there, and myself. Hello, love. You know what? It's been a while since I seen you, but everybody, it was Edie's birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, love. Hi, Regina. I'm going to do some cards at the end of the episode, but I want to talk about some other stuff first. I'm just going to do a little touch base. And the only thing I'm going to talk about is that currently the moon is for true sidereal. It's waning in Pisces, which is inviting deep emotional release. So if you feel like crying today, let it go. Also, compassionate self-reflection, which is fine. That's the way we should be doing, is it compassionate self-reflection, right? Pull it to the light, look at it, own it, and be kind and let it go. Burn it. Burn it. I mean, there's a fire ban in Canada, so don't burn it here, but or wherever there's a fire ban. I'll just be burning it in my house. This is also for intuitive clarity, right? Which is perfect. So we need to be doing some intuitive clarity. And as well, this placement supports dissolving illusions, right? Think about Pisces as that dreamer, right? But Pisces is very psychic energy. It's very in touch. It's that veil is thinner for Pisces, right? So they are very good at dissolving those illusions and good at forgiving the self and others, and also realigning with your highest soul blueprint as you prepare for the next lunar cycle. So that's why we're talking about claiming your seat at the table of creation is powerful. So this is perfectly aligned and perfectly timed, or divinely timed, as always, right? As always. So as I said earlier, have you ever felt like you're on the sidelines of your own life? Have you? I did for a long time. I did. Hi, Cheryl. I did. I remember one time, like back like years and years ago when Harry Potter first came out, and I was like, where did my letter go? Where's my letter to Hogwarts? When did I get one? Right? Like, right, I had that feeling. So today we're opening those doors, we're opening the letters, we're reminding ourselves, and we're going to walk into the banquet hall of creation. So let's talk about this. So number one, you already have a seat. So stop waiting for permission. You don't need permission. Your place at the table is not something you earn. It is not a reward for good behavior or a prize for those deemed worthy by others, right? It's not a special thing for some people, right? And we do that. We see somebody with a big following or with a lot of, looks like they have a lot of money, or they have, a lot of interaction, or whatever it is, whatever we are using as our measurement. We see that and we think to ourselves, why them and not me? Right? Like there's some reason they were chosen and you weren't. When that's not the case. You just have to choose yourself. Have you chose yourself? Have you really chose yourself? It is written into your soul, right? That contract, it's a divine appointment that predates this lifetime. You said it before you even entered into a time space, right? When you're there in your oversoul, before you seed into this life, you're outside of time. And you set this for yourself. You said, this is what I'm going to do. This is the timeline. This is what I'm going to accomplish. The belief that you need to be chosen, invited, or approved is one of the greatest deceptions of the old paradigm, right? Because what does that keep you thinking? Right? It's a control mechanism that keeps the power of creation in the hands of the few, because you think you have to be chosen. So who's chosen you? And sometimes you can be like, well, I choose myself. But if you don't feel really positive or confident or knowing about that, like you have to be in your knowing. If you're like, just choosing myself, like kind of in like rebellion, you're probably not truly choosing yourself. So you're still waiting for someone external to give you validation to choose you. Right? If you haven't listened to the one post that I shared today from the Living Flame Speaks, go listen to that post. I haven't posted it on YouTube yet, but I will be later today. But go listen to that post because it actually aligns with this, right? It's that being unseen, like waiting for validation, right? That your light only is only worthy if someone else is standing there saying, hey, I see you. And that's not the case. It's not the case. So divine law tells a different story. All are emanations of source, each carrying a unique harmonic in the symphony of creation, right? And that's what you are, right? When we think about the sun, if we put God as the sun, and every being coming off of him or off of that source is a fractal of that sun. So it's still the sun, it's still the same thing. It's just not the sun, but it is a part of the sun. It's made from the sun. That's the same concept as us, right? That beam that comes down, that's us, right? But the sun, we are not the sun. And when we go back, we don't go back and become the sun. We actually stay as our unique self. So when you ascend, you don't ascend back into dissolving into nothingness. You don't ever go away. You're never not created. Ever since creation, you can't go back to non-creation. right? So you are not higher or lower than anyone else either. And that's important to know, because some of us get caught up in that. If you feel like a superiority thing, because like you feel like you've been chosen or you're special or, you know, something like that, that in and of itself can be telling you that that's not in alignment with your Christic truth, that that's not in alignment with your divine truth, right? That's in alignment with false light dialogue, because your ego is still very much in control, right? If you think that you have to have all kinds of glamour going on, that's egoic as well, right? There's so many things that when you start to look for those things, you'll start to see them in the people that you're interacting with, and you'll be able to go, yeah, that's a glamour overlay, or that's someone who is very much, you know, with a superiority complex, or their content causes me to loop and I have to keep coming back to them for more because, you know, I just can't get enough. And that's because they can put those little hooks in you. So you're not higher or lower, but you are essential. And every one of us is essential in the roles that we play. Some are meant to be catalysts. That's what they signed up for in this life, to be a catalyst that moves you further along. Some people came to be big catalysts, like T. Rump. He's a very big catalyst, right? There's lots of things in the world that, or lots of beings that have taken on lifetimes that are negative, or that are more detached from source, because we need that to give us the contrast to wake us up, right? We need that contrast to open our eyes, right? When you hold back, though, the music is incomplete. Carol can talk about this, right? Carol's a musician. She's a beautiful singer, right? So if we took out one instrument in an orchestra, took out the whole violin, would the orchestra sound as beautiful? Would the symphony be as harmonic? It wouldn't be, right? Everybody plays a significant part. All right, so we got a little, I'm going to do a little bit of like these kind of practices at the end of each of the sections that I'm talking about this time. I did a little bit different this time. So I want you, while you're sitting in the chair, to close your eyes if you can and you're safe. And I want you to repeat after me. This is my place. I am here by divine appointment. Ooh, that feels good. I want you to notice if you felt something. Did you feel a shift when you said that? Just closing your eyes, breathing in and saying, this is my place. I am here by divine appointment. How did that feel for you? Did you feel anything? Did you feel a shift? So you will feel those shifts when you're claiming space intentionally, right? When you're making declarations and decrees and you're standing in your sovereignty, you will feel those shifts. And sometimes we feel the shifts by way of, you know, like goosebumps or chills, right? I don't know how many times my spidey chills have been tingling, right? But we feel those things, the hair standing up on end. Sometimes you actually feel yourself just physically shift in space, right? And that's what you want to be paying attention to. Those your body's going to tell you a lot. It's going to give you a lot of information. Okay, number 2, from observer to architect. So observation can feel safe, but it drains your vitality when it becomes your only mode of living. So we're just observing, but we're not actually embodying, right? When we're in our mind, when we're, you know, thinking about what we want, when we're speaking about what we want, maybe even doing visions about what we want, but we're not actually embodying the truth, right? When we're sitting on that fence post, that's very draining. And a lot of us do that, where we're like, I know I have something inside of me that I'm meant to bring forward, you know, or I know there's a truth that I need to remember, and maybe you interact with me and you hear me talking about remembering your truth, and you don't take advantage of like something that I'm offering, and you go on and you just continue living in the distortion, right? Right? And it's like I've said to people before, once you know the truth about something, the next time that you engage with that, knowing what you know, is you condoning or like you giving a check mark to that. So you can't claim not having consented to it with information if you know the information. So for instance, Putin came on and talked about how Soylent Green is true. And he also said that they're feeding it by way of the fast food chains. So if you still go and eat fast food and you know this information is out there, then you're saying, I'm okay with eating what Soylent Green represents, what that is speaking of. You're saying I'm okay with that because I'm still going and eating it. And that's when you're consenting to whatever that's going to bring to you, right? And that's why they show us on TV, or they show us through movies, or they put it out there. They put the information out there because they can claim that they tried to inform us by way of this movie or this TV program or this patent or this little news article that was shoved down on page 32 in the smallest type print with all these ads around it, that nobody ends up believing anybody, right? Because they're just so in the matrix. All right. So observation can feel safe, but it drains your vitality when it becomes your only mode of living. You have to be moving towards the truth. You have to be making slight changes to get you there, moment to moment, day to day, year to year, right? This isn't about, I have to peel it back all at once and say no to anything and, just live this like complete and utter way, like right away. You can do it in steps, right? So you are not only here to witness the building of worlds, you are here to participate in that. We can't build the new world without building it together. It takes more than one person. We need to work together to do that, right? So you're here to participate. I'm here to participate. The 144,000 are here to participate. So many, we're all here to participate in our own specific way, right? So life responds to intention and direction. Creation always begins in the unseen. You vision it, you have a thought about it, a frequency you hold in your field. The moment you act on it, that is when the universe rearranges to meet you. If you're not acting on it, the universe isn't going to take you serious, or source isn't going to take you serious, right? So act on the change that you want to see in your life. And I've talked about this, and I love to use, people talk about being healthy. Well, if you're eating takeout and you're eating junk food and you're eating processed food and you're eating seed oils and you're eating, aspartame and you're drinking monster drinks and all kinds of other, of those toxic energy drinks, or, you're drinking alcohol all the time and consuming drugs. Well, you can't vision being healthy and have that just happen while continuing with those practical things. You have to do something different to create a different reality for yourself, because we're in the physical. So it requires doing. And that's where many people are missing it. So every one of you, I want to give yourself a pat on the back for actually being here and listening to me today, because you're somebody that's going to do something about it. Right? So I want you to pick one object in the room, and I want you to imagine redesigning it or repurposing it in a way that would bring beauty or benefit, because this is going to anchor the shift from passivity into creation instantly. So pick one thing in your environment that you would like to change and envision how you would change it. Thank you, my love. Thank you for the gifts, by the way. So I immediately thought about my fan. I have a floor model fan that's sitting there. And what I would like would be for the fan to be made out of bamboo or wood, and I would want it to look like sacred geometry for the screen, or a sunflower or some design like that, right? And then having the bamboo blades that are spinning on the inside. I would repurpose it like that. You would have good function, good form, and it would be beautiful, right? Whether you're using sacred geometry or a flower, which, I mean, the sunflower at the center has the sacred geometry, right? How much more beautiful would that, and being crafted with renewable sources, right? Like bamboo. Bamboo is something that grows very, very rapidly, and that can grow. It's crazy how much it can grow. I was trying to scroll this screen with my mouse. I was like, what the heck? I went to scroll up. I don't even know why. What made me do that? I must have been thinking about on YouTube wanting to scroll it. Oh, that was funny. Wasn't doing what I wanted to do. So does anybody want to drop in the chat what you thought about changing in your environment? I can get into a creative mind about something else. I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it. I love you guys. You're doing fantastic. You got almost 5.5 thousand likes. You've been very generous, and I love you guys. I wonder what this is. There's a My Live, My Story. What does that mean? I'm going to look at it for a second. It's like distraction. I think the sun went behind a cloud. It's like, oh my goodness, we're having such a hot spell here right now. Okay, go live today. There's some, I don't know. There's something about going live today. We're just not going to worry about it. It came up into a really small window, so it was very weird. Very weird. It was not. Yes. So make small changes. You should come and hang out with me, though, because in the Ascension Gateway, and I haven't started it yet, so you're not even behind on anything, but I want to talk about some of the things that I do with my diet. It might be lagging. It might be lagging. It could be. Is it lagging for you a bit? Okay. Well, we'll keep holding on. When we get to the end and I do some cards, what I'll do is I will end the YouTube live, so that won't be an issue with it, and that'll free up the resources for this. Unfortunately, my internet here is just not as strong as I would like. Hello, love. Thank you for joining through the live that Star Being sent you. Right. I always reboot like that. All right. So we're going to talk about number 3 of this topic. So break the bystander spell, right? So the fear of being too much or not enough is a spell. Okay. Woven from lifetimes of suppression, cultural conditioning, and the collective discomfort with power, and true power at that, right? When you think of, because true power is not the power that we see today, but we see a very distorted version of power, and that can make us very opposed to that power. Plus all the negative things that are out there, right? Power, like, power is corrupt, and, stuff like that. So having those types of beliefs that are seeded into society, those things really can stop us from wanting to step into power. So it's important for us to learn what the blocks are in our own person, right? That why we feel a need to suppress. Is it a past life situation where you feel suppressed from your previous lifetimes? Is it because you've been conditioned through culture, like power, corruption, and like money's greed? Like they really have those things, or the concept of that for spirituality, you shouldn't charge money, and so on and so forth, right? Or other ways that you've been corrupted through the wrong or conditioned, or corrupted through the inversions. So speaking your truth is what breaks the spell. When you start to speak your truth, especially out loud, you don't have to do that publicly, but you can speak your truth out loud to yourself, right? And every time you speak your truth from your soul, you liberate yourself and the field around you. Like your field vibrates with that energy of truth. I sit here ringing a bell all day long while I'm speaking the truth, right? And that's resonating out into the field, and it's waking people up around this area, and it's helping Mother Gaia raise her vibration as a part of the ascension. And that's what we're meant to do. We're all grid workers, because everywhere that you're waking up, everywhere that you walk, everywhere that you interact with, those are spaces that you are helping the frequency rise through your frequency rising. And that's rising because of knowing the truth and not participating in the lie and in the distortion. It's a wave. It is, absolutely. And every time so we're always bringing that field up. So this practical live exercise is, I want you to write one thing in the comment, right? Or say it aloud if you are really super shy. But I want you to put one comment down that is, what is one truth about yourself that you've been holding back, even if it's small? Yes. Yes. Yes, that's powerful. I love that. My ancestors too. I love it. One of the things I thought was hard for me. I was so white, and I didn't grow up around it. I was 23 when I was tutoring someone in what was called the Aboriginal Resource Center at college at that point. And I was tutoring her, and my cousin came into the Aboriginal Resource Center, and I didn't even know it was my cousin at that time, because, just functional families. But he recognized me, and when he spoke to me, and so anyway, that opened it up. And then I did my ancestry, checked in with it. And when I found out that I was Mohawk, right? I'm Mohawk First Nation. When I found out that I was Mohawk First Nation, I couldn't own that, because I felt like a hypocrisy, right? I tutored for a long time, and I hung out in the Aboriginal Resource Center, and the guy that ran the Aboriginal Resource Center would completely he would try all the time to get me to apply for jobs and stuff like that, using my non-status stuff. And even though I could qualify, and I have qualified for status, but I couldn't do that, because I felt like I wasn't disenfranchised because I was Mohawk, because nobody even knew it. I didn't even know it. So how could I have suffered through my culture when I didn't even know my culture, and nobody did anything different for me? So I felt like I would potentially taking something away from someone else. So I couldn't do that. Yes. That's your one truth, Carol. That's a good truth. That's a good truth. My one truth is that I don't think that I present it all the time. I know my friends know. I know that, my friends, like my dearest friends, do know. But I have struggled with my company in the 4 years that I've run it financially. And, I am through 3 days away from paying rent, and I don't have it yet. So this is me being very truthful and very honest, that I have struggled to meet my own basic needs through my company. And I've had many people along the way tell me that I should be working another job, that I should be doing this or I should be doing that. And I have just kept pouring my heart and soul into it, while being willing to look at my shadow and what stuff is doing, right? What my stuff is doing. So I'm very much in the position that I'm in because of the love that I've received. Hi, I'm good. How are you, Lormo? Right? I'm so very blessed because of all the help that I've received from my family, from my friends, from everything. And one of the hardest things for me to let go of was the fact that I'm sitting here and I'm like, but I've got all these great things. I've got all these great things that I do. And everybody that works with me loves what I do. So just buy my stuff. Just buy my stuff. And I would be like, why can't people just do that? Then I wouldn't have to ask for this or ask for that. And so it was really humbling. It was really humbling. And I just had to get comfortable with receiving it every way that it came and be grateful for the fact that it came in whatever way that it did. And so that was a big bit of growth that I had to go through recently. Hi, Aussie Ocean. Right. So yeah, so that's a pretty good one. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Like everything around me has changed, absolutely changed, right? I've lost so many people along the way and I let them go now. I'm just like, okay, not meant for me, not meant for my future, not meant for this lifetime or this timeline, right? And I just let them go with grace and know that we've had the amount of experiences together that we're meant to have. Some of those experiences maybe weren't so great and some of them were great. But you have to love the experiences that you had all the way. We learn the most from our shadow, right? My friend, actually is my ex, but is my friend now. My ex started up Hugs for Homeless. So when we were together, he and I used to talk about this. And I mean, it was his idea that he generated, but we talked about it and it grew, right? And so the concept was to open up a nonprofit that took donations so that you could build backpacks and you would distribute the backpacks to the homeless. The giraffe, that's so cute. So we would deliver the bags to the homeless. This was our plan. And you'd have you'd have backpacks for women, backpack for men, backpack for children, right? So the children would get something more appropriate for them. It'd be a little bit hard to give any clothing, but so we had the bags crafted and we were like, let's give like tampons in the women's, right? To give, toenail clippers, to give socks, right? To give mittens and a toque, right? Like those things would be really great to give, especially like any time of year, especially in Alberta, right? In Alberta, it only hit double digits, I think, at the end of July overnight. So you'd still want to be warm overnight. And I said to him, because he finally opened the company, he finally started it all. And I'm so proud of him and I'm so excited for it. And I'm going to share about it because it's something that I really feel strongly for. I was homeless when I was a child, right? Did we totally recognize that? Not so much. My parents were kind of good at hiding it from us. We lived in tents. We lived, on campsites, right? And I'm in, so Tyendinaga, I'm one of the Six Nations. And I actually can I can take my ancestry all the way back to Joseph Brant, who signed the original treaties. Like that's my great grandfather, whatever number back, so many back. But again, I mean, ancestors in this lifetime by way of genetics or like by way of that is not necessarily the favorite. Oh, nice. I know what you're talking about, which is very nice. So anyway, that's my truth. And I thank you for sharing your truth. And right. It's one of those things like when we put down, what is that one truth that we've been holding back? It's a first step to dissolving, right? To dissolving the fear of being too much or not enough. Yeah. Oh, love to you. I almost did the van life too. Almost did the van life entirely as well. I've just been very, very lucky. Like I said, very, very lucky that I have had the grace of strangers, right? Some people will be like, oh, just go get a job and you want, and it's not that simple. The system's not that simple. And a lot of people that are homeless because they're foster children that have aged out of foster care. So they don't have a family to fall back on, right? For me, when things got tough for me, I was lucky. I had the opportunity to borrow money, or I had the opportunity to get a place to stay for a little bit, or I was able to, get donations from the collective that I've created, or I was able to make money in some way. I was lucky I still had family, right? And that may be drying up now because, you can only do it for so long before even family is like, wait a second, why not yet? Right? Because they're still in the thing. Yes. Yes. That's perfect. And that's what we need to do. We build the new future by building it, by being the architect. All right. So the fourth section that I wanted to talk about is the table is bigger than you think. So creation is collaborative, not competitive. And we've been working in a life in an environment where we have been doing it in a very competitive way, right? It's been, we think that because somebody's doing really well, that means that we can't. Or if somebody brings something out in this way, we can't go in that space either because they're just, look how amazing they are. Who am I to be in that space, right? Who are you not to? Who are you not to? You guys align with me. There's other people that are going to be speaking truth. I don't know if they speak the truth the same way as me, but you align with me because you align with my frequency. And we probably agreed to hook up at some point in this lifetime for a remembering, because we're going to activate each other to remember. So the old paradigm taught that resources, opportunity, and influence were scarce, pitting creators against one another. But the table of creation expands with every new voice, every new light. Aligned circles multiply each other's impact. Some of us, when we work together, when we collaborate on things, we can create, Carol and I, when we work together in collaboration, we give a 3.4% boost to what energy that we're creating. And that might not seem like a lot, but it actually is, right? It creates a bigger impact in the environment. That's why when we do global events, right? When we do global events and we connect together, which I'm going to be doing a couple. The next one that I'm putting on is on the 18th of August. So on the 18th of August, and I believe it's at 3:30 p.m. and it is on Zoom. It is 2222 Canadian to take it. It is Christic Solar Flame. I'm looking to see if I have it up. If I have the page up for it on my webpage, on events, wait for it to show up. Yep, exactly. So it's the Christic Solar Flame Right. That is what we're doing on the 18th. So if you're interested in that, like I said, it's 2222. Hello, Hannah Rose. How are you, love? And so what we're going to do in this particular session on the 18th is we're going to restore the solar seraphic DNA code for the 144,000. We are going to reactivate the true solar logos and dissolve the AI solar mimicry. And we're going to harmonize the solar gateways in Uluru, the Andes, Sinai, and Northern Canada. So us getting together to do this empowers these global things that we're doing. So this is what we do in the Guardian Pathway and in the Christic Mastery Circle. So this one is the August event for the Christic Mastery Circle. And so to join the Christic Mastery Circle would be 4444, but to take this live is 2222. When the Guardian Pathway one is put out, it's 2222, whether you join the group or you take the live, that live event, it's the same price. So basically I'm just putting these webinars at 2222 Canadian. You always get a guide that goes along with it, and we do a lot of we do powerful work within it. So anyway, that's the one on the 18th. Then we have on the 26th. Nope, that was the one from yesterday. That was the one that I missed the other day, but we're gonna do a makeup of it. Um, so the other one is on August 25th, and it's about restoring the Earth's womb grid, healing bleed-throughs of planetary feminine trauma, sealing false blood rights, inverted feminine grids, and AI magnetic interference, and anchoring the organic feminine creation current through water, sound, and light. So that's what the event is at the end of the month. Very fancy. Very fancy. Very fancy. Okay, let's talk about the rest of the some of the stuff that we have to talk about, because we are going to do cards today. So the table is bigger than we think. And hi, Silesia. Aligned circles multiply each other's impact, right? Your presence doesn't take from anyone else. It increases what is possible for all. So we've got our practical exercise for this. So I want you to, we're going to close our eyes. Okay. So let's close our eyes. And I want you to see a table before you, and seated around it is everybody that's here today. And you're going to see some figures appear at the table that don't seem very clear. And this could be because they're going to join us at another time. They're not seated with us now, but they're going to catch the replay. So just allow everybody to come into the table. All right. And you're also going to invite into the table somebody that you admire. Okay, so somebody that you admire. Maybe it's a creator that you would like to be like, or it's somebody who has a platform that's in the area of what you'd like to be in, or maybe it's somebody that's done some powerful changes in the world, and whatever reason, it doesn't matter. It's somebody that you admire. And when you're sitting there, I want you to reach your hand across the table, and you're going to see the person that you admire reach across the table too, and you're going to shake hands with that person. Okay. And now we're going to take our hands side by side, and we're going to hold hands with the person beside us in the circle. So we brought the people into the circle that we admire. We're sitting there with each other, and we're going to close the circle together, holding hands. Okay. And what we're doing now is we're creating this chain of unbroken light around the world. We're calling those creators in that we admire, or the people in that we admire, the people we could call Yeshua in and shake hands with Yeshua, right? Because that's somebody that I admire, and that's somebody that I would shake hands with. So I can invite Yeshua's spirit into this, and Yeshua's higher self, and sit here with Yeshua in our circle, creating this chain around the world, because we're all sitting in different places. So allow that to just sit within our field for a moment, knowing that we are collaborators, that there's no competition in this. We're not competitors, right? We are meant to build together to create the new earth. And there's definitely room at the table. The table keeps getting bigger, and our impact reaches further and further and further when we allow this. Carol and I are going to be doing some things together. He showed up to mine too. So there, you can go back and revisit these little exercises in here anytime that you want in the recording, because it's always on YouTube on the same name as this one here. So Anshara'El, Anshara'El. Okay, so we've got some common questions and Christic clarity, which are the answers for those questions. So what if I don't know my role at the table? You discover your role through movement. We find the path by walking it. Right? So it's not by waiting, it's by starting to do things. Begin by showing up where you feel a spark of resonance. What aligns with you? What lights you up? What makes you go, interesting, right? Any of that resonance, when you feel that, just you feel yourself shift into that alignment, you get the goosey bumps, investigate those things. Every act of participation is a doorway to clarity. And clarity grows each time you contribute your energy to the collective field, right? That clarity is going to grow. That resonance is going to build. That energy that we're creating together gets bigger, right? It's like the bell starts chiming with other bells and they start to get into this harmonic dong, dong, dong. What if my gift doesn't feel big enough? Well, that's just silly because no gift is too small, right? When it comes from the soul, it is as big as your soul. There's nothing too small. A single note can change the vibration of the whole song. How many people wait for that one note in the song because it's the note? Maybe yours is meant to be the note, but that's all you're doing in the song. So all kinds of other music, all kinds of all kinds of, instruments and stuff like that. That doesn't make that thing less important, and nor is it more important. The song comes together because of all the pieces of it, just like everything else does. So rather than measuring size, measure alignment. Is it authentic? Is it given with love? And does it add beauty or truth to the environment? And if so, then it's powerful. And I used to say this to my friends, like, who were seeking their purpose. And sometimes your purpose is to birth the person that's going to do something, to birth the person that's going to make an impactful change, right? That could have been my mom's purpose. My mom's purpose was to birth me and to help me out at this time in my life so that I could live my mission. My mom signed up for that. We created a contract, a soul contract that said that that's what's going to happen. And here we are living it out, right? Yeah. Same with my mom. Absolutely. Right. We talk about that. And our relationship has grown and my mom has healed so much. My mom goes to therapy now. I worked with her in the beginning and, but it's not up to me to be my mom's therapist. It's up to me to be my mom's daughter. But I still do encourage her with the truth that I know and try to, help awaken or ascending her. Right. Oh, that's amazing. Amazing. Congratulations to your mom. Congratulations. That's amazing. Yeah, those schools, they were something else. Even as much as they want to continue to deny things, like even though the truth comes out and is used or the information is given out, like when they talked about all the graves, that information was given out at a time to make political stuff. And then when you change it to something else, then now it's saying that they weren't actually graves, that there were no, like so on and so. So the information changes depending on the way that they're trying to control the narratives. Yep. Yes. Yeah. So so if it's love, it's powerful. How do you handle people who don't support you? Well, I know what that's like. Very much. I have lost a lot of people along the way. And there are, some people who are very much still in the matrix and would like me to just go back to being in the matrix and doing the whatever. But that's not what I came here for. Right. So my seat was granted by divine law, not human opinion. And so is yours. Right. Anchor yourself in source, return to your why, and allow resistance to be an opportunity to strengthen your roots. What challenges us allows us the opportunity to grow, right? If you are bothered by the fact that somebody thinks that you're doing something you shouldn't be doing, that's for you to investigate. Why does that bother you? And what can you release because of it? Let others' discomfort be their journey, not your stopping point. Right? What they find discomfort in, that's their issue. That's their role or their journey or their experience that they have to move through, the lesson that they have to learn. This is a good one because people ask this all the time. So how do I find others like me? By speaking your truth and openly living it. Right? You find me because I keep speaking the truth. I keep showing up. I keep broadcasting. Even when there's nobody here, I show up. Even when nobody shows up to class, I show up and I record it. Even if nobody is listening, I still speak the truth. If people don't like it, I still speak it. I like that, by being weirder. Exactly. Right? Because as you're standing in your truth and speaking it, Your bell is ringing loud and clear, and the people that are meant to hear it, they hear it. Yes, they are. Right? So follow what's in sport. Your frequency, exactly what I'm saying. Your frequency becomes a beacon that draws your circle to you. So follow what inspires you, engage in spaces where your values are honored, and trust that like-hearted allies will recognize you. It's the same thing I would say to somebody that's looking to meet their partner. Go do the things that you love in places where other people will also be doing the things that you love. And you will meet other people that love the things that you love, and you'll at least have that in common, right? If you're somebody that is a devout Christian, then go to a Christian church, go to Christian mingles, go to Christian events, and you will find somebody who's a devout Christian as well. That would be a pretty big factor for you, I would assume, in your pairing, right? Would be a very important thing. If you are a very spiritual person, you probably shouldn't go to church to find your person, because you're going to find somebody that maybe has some very concrete views that are aligned with the religion that are opposed to you. And that's just going to be a place for contention. Sure, there's a possibility that there's growth that it can occur. Sure, there is. But unless they're really actively don't want to necessarily be a devout Christian, and you don't necessarily want to think that religion is all wrong, then you're not going to move closer to the point, right? If I don't like baseball, which that's not fact of true. Okay, I don't like heavy metal concerts. I'm not going to go find my partner in a heavy metal concert. Right? I wouldn't. I'm not going to go to a heavy metal concert. I don't drink, so I'm not going to a bar to meet a guy because I don't drink. Right? That would be a foolish place for me to think I'm going to go meet my partner. Let's go meet my person at a bar. I don't drink. I'm going to have an issue with it. Like that's, it's just silly, right? So anyway, that's the same thing when we're talking about where are we meeting our friends, or where are we meeting our collaborators, or where are we meeting our soul family. It's going to be meeting our soul family where we're doing things that we like, that are as aligned with me. Yep, exactly. It is oppression. Absolutely. Right. So it's just those contentions can happen, right? So if you just go in the spaces where you're honored and trust that like-hearted allies will find you. So what if I failed before? Failure is not the end. If you asked a lot of people, they'd probably tell you that I failed. They'd probably tell you I failed over and over and over and over and over again for 4 years. I didn't. I was learning. I was growing. I was expanding. I was becoming a master, because that's what failure is. It is your initiation into mastery. Every so-called failure refines your discernment, sharpens your skill, and humbles your heart so that your creations carry greater integrity. The only true failure is abandoning the seat that is already yours. Right? Yep. Well, we're meant to speak the truth, right? Yeah. Yep. And that we do. We tie ourselves up in karma often when we, yeah. So what if you discover your role by action, right? You discover your role by action. So the only true failure is abandoning the seat that you know is yours. So me knowing that this is my soul's purpose, that this is what's aligned with me. If I stop doing this, that would be me failing. It's not about me to stop doing it. It's about me understanding what is the block that is giving me less than stellar financial gains, right? Because that's my only thing. I love everything else about my company. I love everything else about what I'm doing. I love my life. Love my life. Right? So that scarcity, there's somewhere in there that either I have a block or I'm being blocked, right? Which you have to think certain people are going to be blocked because of the algorithm, right? Because of AI, because of, people putting dampening or suppressions on us, right? So you have to find those and clear those. You have to clear the timelines that have tied you to that, clear any karma that's wrongfully assigned to you because you weren't informed, and do all of those things but that's the whole process of learning and getting to the spot where you're meant to be, right? Hi, Lee Walker. Right? That's how you get there, is you understand through those experiences what it is that you're doing, that you need to change or to become the master, right? You're learning mastery. All right, I have a mini practice. So this is a whole mini practice that I've created. Somebody's inviting me to. Yes, but they only have power over us if we give them power over us. They have no dominion over us. Yeah, they're not attached to their soul at all. That's the only place that evil exists, is where people are disconnected from their divinity. If you have no connection to your oversoul, that's how you become capable of doing those evil things. That's why in Hollywood and in music, they have them sign their soul over to the devil. Once they sign over their soul, then they start changing. They start doing all those evil things. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So we're going to take our seat at the table of creation. We have a mini practice. So we have this decree that we're going to speak out loud. Okay. So the decree that we're going to say is, repeat after me. I take my place at the table of creation. I am here by divine design. I bring my light, my gifts, and my voice to the work of building the new earth. Okay? So we're going to sit tall, feet on the earth, and we're just going to breathe in. I belong. And when we exhale, I take my place. Okay? I belong. I take my place. I belong. I take my place. I like to say it before I inhale. I belong. And then before I exhale, I take my place. I belong. I take my place. Now I want you to envision a column of light that is extending from your crown all the way through your navel, out through the root. Okay, this light extends up to your soul chakra and all the way down to the earth chakra, and through all of your chakras in your body, up to your crown to your root, on through. Okay, so just visualize that column of light, and you're going to put your hand on your heart and you're going to repeat after me. Today, I choose one action that moves me from observer to architect. And now you're going to say the action out loud. I'm going to bring singing back into my space. To bring some lightness back into my world, because I think I've been too serious. Now we are going to say this one phrase and we're going to repeat it, but we're going to get softer each time we say it. Today I choose one. Nope, sorry, I went to the wrong one. I went back to the first one. Thank you, love. I am here by divine design, by divine appointment. Sorry, I am here by divine appointment. Oh my goodness, too many eyes looking at too much. Not reading properly. Okay, so we're our hands over our heart. I am here by divine appointment. Now we're going to say it again, but a little softer. I am here by divine appointment. I'm going to say it one more time, even softer. I am here by divine appointment. And now we're going to imagine the round table expanding, linking hands again with all of our allies. We're going to whisper out loud, we build together. And there we are. So inside Anshara'El, we hold the space for you to remember your role in creation, to refine your gifts, and to step into your full presence. If you're ready, stop waiting for permission and start building your highest reality. Come join us. It's on booked. It's the website is linked in my profile. It's Anshara'El.com. So there's always the embodiment journal that goes along with the live. So the embodiment practice, or the companion journal that goes along with the live, and the companion journal for claiming your seat at the table of creation has an embodiment practice. It has an invocation and a mantra plus 5 journal prompts, and it's completely free in the Temple of Light, which is a free group on my website. You just have to sign up for it. I don't spam you with emails or anything unless you want to be on the mailing list. And even then, I don't spam people with emails. I send out very few, in fact. And, that's just, I don't like that when I sign up for an email and all of a sudden I'm like getting inundated with them like so much. It's, there's a limit. There's a limit. I try to stay within it. So that is the live today, talking about claiming your seat at the table of creation. How did you like that part? And then we'll all play with some cards for a little bit. And do note that there are some beautiful offers that are on my site right now. The soul letter, where I channel a message from your oversoul or your higher self and your guide team. Or you can get the Oracle voice note. The Oracle voice note is where I record a message. I record a up to 7 minute or around 7 minute message from your entire team. And you can ask some questions into that if you want specific questions asked. And then what else do I have? Oh, and I have the Guardian activation. So these are really, really valuable. Oh, you came in when you needed to. You came in exactly. It's always the divine timing, right? You're always right on time. Everything's right on time. So I will give you a card, at most 2. That's if I feel inclined to look at the bottom of the deck. And I'll give you your message from that if you like. So let me know if you would like a card. And I'm going to close down TikTok. I love you. If you want to hang out for cards, come and check me out on TikTok. Otherwise, I will see you on Thursday. On Thursday, we are talking. Let me see. Let me pull up my notes for Thursday. Oh, hang on. I'm on the wrong page. I'm like, that's not the right one. No, I might not have it open right now. I keep looking though, just in case. But anyway, you can join me on Thursday. You can join me on Thursday with whatever we're talking about then. Love you guys. Have a great day. And I'll close out that. And that should actually